Lunch with Allan Beswick.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Oh, yeah. All right. Good. Oh, I would love to tell you, but I can't. I would love. I've just been told, and I can't tell you. And by time I sit here tomorrow, you'll already know. I ate that. I ate it. Let's see. I don't know where it's going to be. I can't find it. Here it is. So I've got it here. It's written down, but I've been given it. Along with the rest of the media. I've been given it on trust. Yeah. Yeah. It's to do with a nuclear war. I'm not telling you anymore. I think I may have told you too much. No, we're not having one, don't worry. No, we're not having one. Well, I don't know. But I've not been told that I've not been told we're starting the nuclear war tomorrow. No, that's not the story. Oh, dear God, I might have made more trouble here than I thought. Come out from under the chair, for God's sake. No. But you'll find out tomorrow. Oh, for God's sake, you've only got to wait I'm sorry I mentioned it now. Anyway, I can't tell you. I'll tell you tomorrow, but you'll know by then. It'll be in all the bloody papers, and I missed it again. It's terrible. Yeah. No. Right, I did think about it, but no, I like you, but not that much. No, I think it's a sackable job. That I'm not getting sacked just for that. No. Right, well, that's that got out of the way. And we've been telling you all morning on the BBC that the Prime Minister is going to have a reshuffle, and now he's reshuffled the idea of his reshuffle. Apparently we're not having a reshuffle. We're going to have a stay as you are shuffle. No. You see, how is it a reshuffle if he's not already had a shuffle? Surely a reshuffle is redoing your shuffling. There you are. I'm fully shuffled. That's it. I've finished my shuffle now. I've shuffled myself to blindness. Maybe the same. I've shuffled myself I'm shuffled to a standstill. Just do another one. I don't want to do another. Go on, do another one. Oh, blimey. Okay, well, I'll have a reshuffle. So I don't remember the shuffle. I don't. They don't, when you're playing cards, I don't play it a lot, but when they're playing cards, they don't say reshuffle the pack, no, they say shuffle the pack. You never have a reshuffle. How did we get to call it a reshuffle? They're making a pig's ear of our language, they are. No, fannying around with it. Leave it alone. It's a shuffle. Or not, as the case may be. It is, however, still understood that there will be a limited shuffle, or reshuffle, before Parliament resumes on Monday. Well, it's only Thursday, for God's sake. They say they're not having one, but they'll have a little one. I'll just have a little one. Go on. Who was that? Go on. Would you like a cup of... Oh, Father Ted. Mrs. Ted. She wasn't Mrs. Ted, but I think he'd give her one. Anyway, no, nobody would. It is, however, still understood that there'll be a limited reshuffle before Parliament resumes on Monday. Ruth Kelly needs to be replaced as Transport Secretary. Now, you see... There's a few been saying that for years, but now we know it's true, despite the fact she told us. She was seen going into Downing Street this morning. The Foreign Secretary, David Miliband, was also seen. He was present for a breakfast meeting to do with business in Europe. The Energy Secretary, John Hutton, about whom there's been reshuffle... There it is again! There's been shuffle speculation, also went to Downing Street this morning. The spokesman said he was there for another meeting. What do you mean, another meeting? What, had he had one already that day? Is he for a meeting other than the one you're thinking of? You could pick holes in this all day. You could.
Mornings sound better with Eamon O'Neill and Diane Oxford.
Eamon and Diane.
Oh, no, you don't change your watch on terra firma. You've got to be sitting on the plane.
I'll stay on at home time.
So let's say we were in Mallorca at the same time. We said, we'll meet you outside.
That's why I always missed you.
Eamon and Diane and you.
How did you give up smoking?
Got a bit of toothache and I thought I must find a dentist, and I found one and he said, you need a filling. He said, and if you don't stop smoking, I am not going to give you the filling.
What?
So I stopped smoking from that day.
The station with Eamon and Diane for breakfast.
Thank you for making my morning.
Back tomorrow morning from 6 at BBC Radio Manchester.
A very good day. How are you? Are you all right? Good. So am I. Yeah. Got that out of the way. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. Gordon says, what the bloody hell are you on about, Beswick? Have you been on the tablets? That's not nice. I'm on about the word shuffle and or reshuffle. That's all. It's just a touch of the shuffly shuffs. I just thought I'd get it out of the way. It was on the edge of politics, wasn't it? Yeah. According to the Manchester Evening News, so it must be true, and this is quite startling, according to Manchester Evening News, in our patch, yours and mine, and theirs, in our patch, 50 people a day are losing their homes as a result of the credit crunch. It's a bit quick, is that, isn't it? I mean, the credit crunch only really got nasty, as it were, a couple of months ago. But it takes 5 or 6 months to get you out your house. So these people were already facing eviction or leaving their home voluntarily or whatever, but losing their home. Weren't they? They were already there. It takes ages to get somebody out their house for not paying. Absolutely ages. I promise you, I'm not having a go at the Evening News. I wouldn't dream of it. But what I'm saying is extraordinary. It's been going on for a very, very, very long time, it would seem. Yeah, but we knew about that. Oh, I've just got one of them Barclays emails. If I send them all my details, they'll correct my account for me. Or empty it, as the phrase more normally goes. You was right. Yeah, David said, you were right. Northern Rock are having to turn away new customers. Well, of course I was right. Dear God, you don't have to wear a shiny suit to do that stuff. And another David, hi, I've just heard that India is about to introduce a smoking ban. If it's going to kill you, have we not got enough people in the world? And should we not, as a society, not let them kill themselves as long as they hurt no others? People should be free to do whatever they want. The obsession with keeping people alive is ridiculous. All people want is the right to live this life in the way that they think is right. If one does so, then going will not be a problem. Well, I think the Indian government, rather like the British government, will agree with you, David, and indeed some of the American governments as well. I say governments because it's a unity of states, isn't it? So some of the American governments would agree with you. Well, people should have the right to do what they wish. They should have the right. And indeed, you still will have the right. You'll be able to smoke in your own home. You'll be able to smoke in open spaces in India. They've got the same regulations now, introduced yesterday, I think, but they've got the same regulations now that we have, and that is you can't smoke in public buildings, and by public we mean those occupied by the public. So they're just saying we don't want you to putrefy the air for others, so if you want to do it in your own home and kill your kids, that's your privilege. Get on with it, but we don't want you to do it to somebody else. That's perfectly reasonable, isn't it? Of course it is. Anyway, 0161 228 2255 if you've something to say. You can talk about anything. I'm just going to sit here and shoot the breeze. The breeze must be fed up of getting shot, but then so's half of Manchester. Alan with 2 L's has written to me, called me Dear Alan, and spelt my name with 1. That's outrageous. That's scandalous. And he says in his email, after a rather long life as both an employee and an employer, there are some thoughts which I hear you will loudly mock, he says. Oh, well, never mind. Something to look forward for you, Alan, in Wigan. And this has come snail mail. This is fantastic. We don't get many of these now. How overjoyed the left-wing socialist communist members of our society must feel recently at the failure of world banks. It proves them and their hatred of the nasty rich capitalists who grind the faces of the poor, however well-heeled they themselves have contrived to be, was justified all along. It's so very easy to sympathise with their viewpoint. Why indeed should an honest working man, labouring to feed his children by the sweat of his brow, earn a mere fraction of what some schemer earns? Such a system can hardly be justified on any moral or even religious grounds. Why on earth should a doctor earn more than a road sweeper if they're both trying their very best? By any moral standards, communism, socialism must be the answer to our discontent, says Alan. By any moral standards, what? By communists must be the answer to our discontent. Who could argue against that? Whole nations have adopted it as the answer, sadly, with utterly disastrous results, which history should force even the most starry-eyed firebrands amongst us to accept. He says, show me an honest working man who tries hard and works hard to justify his weekly wage, and I'll show a working man who will attempt to cheat his employer in every possible way and do as little work as possible. Show me the capitalist who pays his employees as much as he possibly can and cares about their welfare, and I'll show you the boss who cares nothing for his employees. In the long term, in a flawed capitalist system, the nasty greedy bees eventually come to grief. In an equally flawed communist socialist system, they are usually hanged after a much longer time. Well, I don't think your letter tells us anything new or even anything worth mocking, to be honest. Some of the things you say are correct. I don't agree with you about the honest working man who does his level best to screw his employer. But then I don't agree with the idea of the grind employer. There are some of each of those types, but they're not the universal. Most working people believe and offer a fair day's pay for a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. Most employers think that they should pay their employees a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. I know people on both sides of that equation who operate within their employment, be they the owner of the firm or indeed the worker within the firm, with absolute integrity, honesty and decency. Absolutely right. And I have no problem with one person lending another person, be that a bank or indeed an individual, some money as an investment in a business and then taking a profit from that investment. I've no problem with that. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I have absolutely no problem with making interest on the loans. What I object to is the city, where industries are brought down for no other reason than the gamblers who bought tickets in that industry. Not parts. I know they're called shares, but they're not shares. The true value of a business, and any asset stripper will tell you this, isn't it share value? That's not the real value of a business. It's the saleable part. The real value of the business, if you ignore the staff, and they're the true value of a business, but if you ignore the staff, the real value of the business is what property it owns, what machinery it has, what goods it has to sell, what stock it has to make those goods. That's the real value of the business. It's the moneylenders and vagabonds that I can't really come to terms with. The people who make money out of merely not even investing in the firm. When you buy 1,000 shares at £5 a share, costing £5,000, the company doesn't get that money. The managing director doesn't suddenly have another £5,000 in the kitty. No. It's rather like when you put money on a horse. If you put £5,000 on a horse, and I don't mean buying the horse, when you put £5,000 with Shifty Sam, the bookmaker man, when you give him £5,000 in the hope of getting £50,000 back, the bloke whose horse it is gets bugger all of that. He doesn't think, well, that's the A bill paid for. He gets nothing out of that, not 1 cent, not a bean. Now, OK, he might buy shares. He might buy shares in his own business, or indeed, to continue with the analogy, he might put a bet on the horse himself. But the £5,000 you give to Shifty Sam, the bookmaker man, nothing of that goes to the proprietor of the horse, the owner. Nothing of that goes to the race course, except Shifty Sam's fees. Nothing of that goes to the trainer. Nothing of that goes to anybody but Shifty Sam, the bookmaker man. And what he does is play a mathematical game, and he says, well, OK, a lot of people have given me £5,000 to put on this horse, so frankly, I'm only going to give you 1 9p back if it wins. However, if you'd like to bet on that 3-legged horse over there, if that wins and you put £5,000 on it, I'll give you the house, the stable, and my wife and daughters. If that one, but he's not gonna, because he wants to encourage you to do that. And it's the same with the city. It is just bookmakers in suits. That's all they are. They're the people I hate. They're the kind of capitalists I hate. I don't hate people who own businesses. None of that. None of it. What I do hate, what I do find unacceptable, is people who use money they don't need to gamble on the success or otherwise of the city value of a business, which has virtually no effect on the people working in that business, whether they are the chief executive, the chairman, or the cleaner. Nothing. But people suck money out of it just for the hell of it. I think it is disgusting. 12:20 on BBC Radio Manchester. News headlines. Anna Dawson.
The 20-year-old man's admitted shooting a 16-year-old girl in the head in Manchester. Wayne Bryan of Gorton Villa Walk will be sentenced later this month. The attack happened in Gorton in June. A man who made obscene phone calls, some of them from payphones in North Manchester, faces a jail sentence today. Ian Parry from Bacup in Lancashire terrified at least 90 random victims. He was caught in Rochdale in August last year. And the Irish government's been accused of distorting competition by guaranteeing all savings in Ireland's 6 largest banks. The move's already led to a rush of British savers depositing their money there. Manchester's weather, sunshine and showers, highs of 12 Celsius.
BBC Radio Manchester. 2020 traffic.
Traffic still heavy in Altrincham on Washway Road on the A56 southbound between Harbour Way and Woodlands Road on the A560. Not doing badly, though, on the M56 around Junction 10 at Stretton on the westbound, heading away from Manchester, despite there being one lane closed on the exit slip of the 2-lane stretch. Those roadworks continue now until 3:30 today and will commence once again tomorrow morning from 9:30 until the very end of the month now. Don't forget, though, if you can update you further today, call in 0161 244 4951. I'm Cara Banks.
Decongesting Manchester, one car at a time. 2020 traffic.
BBC Radio Manchester.
What? What am I already, a guinea pig? For crying out loud! Neil in Bebington. Good morning, Alan. That's it. I just wanted to try out my new phone. Neil in Bevington, everybody, has got no friends. Poor, sad Neil. What? You're emailing me to test your phone? Why don't you try 999? That'd have sorted it out. We'll have the busies round, lock you up. You'd have had friends then. Or are you ugly? I don't think they bother in prison. Good morning, Neil. Glad to have been of service, sir. Deborah in Marple. Hiya, Deborah.
Hello.
What can we do for you?
I was just listening to what you were saying about the smoking rules that have now gone on in India.
Yeah.
That they're now the same as us. And I totally agree. I mean, I'm a non-smoker and I think it's fantastic that you can now go out to places and pubs and so on and not have to sit in the smoky atmosphere. The only thing that I'm sort of not so happy with, that does get me a bit, is that now you can go shopping locally, and when you've got a precinct or a main street and you've got several pubs and along those streets, and you find that you don't have a back garden that the customers can go and smoke in and sort of enjoy while they're having their drink, they're now standing out on the pavements. And so you're finding people like myself that are going shopping, you then end up, even though the smoke is diluted, obviously, by the fresh air, you still get the wafts, the smell of smoke that I didn't used to get. So I think it's a very difficult situation, really, because I'm now finding I'm getting in contact with more smoke now than I used to, because I hardly ever go to the pub. I mean, I might go for the odd meal occasionally, but it's very rare. Well, so it's a difficult scenario, really.
You're right in both contexts. You're right in that you probably are coming in contact with a bit more in terms of the smell of it, but it certainly is dissipated incredibly because you don't get the build-up, they smoke in the streets and it's dissipated into the air, rather like car fumes and all the rest of it, so it's the least of one's worries. But I agree with you, it's horrible. In New York, what they're starting to do is that they're starting to ban, they've already banned smoking, the beaters to it, they banned smoking in public buildings occupied by the public, and now they've extended it in some parts, and I think it includes New York City. They've Manhattan and the like, and I think they've now got a rule that you can't smoke within 5 metres of an entrance of a building. Now in New York, that narrows it down somewhat. There are not many places where you could. But yeah, I mean, it's better and it's worse in some respects.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I was driving along the other day. It was quite interesting. Driving along, we were in traffic, and there was a bloke waiting to cross over, smoking a pipe. So, no skin off my nose, I let him cross over in front of the car, and my air conditioning sucked in his pipe smoke and gave it to me. Now, pipe smoke actually smells all right, unlike cigarette smoke, but I thought, blimey, that's not much fun, is it? He could have poisoned me with that. It could have been a Russian spy. I'd have been finished.
And you've been trying to be nice, and you get
I know. And next time I'll have his legs. If I see him again, I'm telling you, he'll be hobbling home. Good on you, Deborah. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Cheers. We could all walk around in gas masks. My producer looks like he already does. Boom! Dun, 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 ding. Oh, never mind. Alan in Chorley. Hi, Alan.
Good afternoon, Alan. You well?
Sir, I'm very well.
Yeah. I just want to give us some information about the new choose and book system that the National Health Service is applying now.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to my own GP, and he said, I'll refer you to a specialist at a hospital. Which he asked me which hospital I wanted to go to, and I said which is the best. So he told me which one to go to, and he said right, and he printed out two forms, a choose and book form, one with a reference number on, and one with a password on. I ring this number that they've given me, and it turns out to be some sort of call centre in Milton Keynes. And they said, oh, well, somebody will ring you and give me a date and a time with a triage appointment, brackets, clinical assessment.
Yeah.
I said, well, why are you going through this? My doctor, I thought what used to happen was the doctor referred you to a specialist, they made an appointment for you, and then he got it through the post or the phone, and you went to see the specialist. So now I'm going to have to go to a telephone appointment to tell me where my proper appointment will be. And I think it's a stupid waste of time and money.
So you've been told by the GP is organised for you to have this appointment.
Correct.
So you phone up and they say, right, we now need you to make another phone call.
No, they will phone me at a certain time.
Yes.
On a certain date.
Yes.
To have an appointment over the phone.
So they'll talk to you over the phone?
Yeah, a triage appointment with brackets clinical assessment over the phone. And I've already been to see my GP.
Well, yes, but I mean, the specialists don't rely on GPs.
Yeah.
They don't trust them. Because there's a lot of rubbish GPs about, I suppose. I don't know.
Well, maybe.
So what they're doing is when this appointment comes up, when they ring you, they'll be asking you all the kerfuffle. You see, it may well be, I know this sounds daft, it may well be that you're not the right patient for that. Because if the GP could quantify your condition to such an extent that she or he could guarantee that you were the right patient for that particular area of work of the specialist, then he or she would be a specialist.
Yeah, I
Do you follow me?
I appreciate. I'm being referred for an orthopaedic problem. Right. So I would think that's quite straightforward. I will go to see someone that's pretty good with orthopaedics.
Well, yes, but orthopaedics covers the whole of the skeleton.
I appreciate that.
And
but I just cannot understand why I've got to have a telephone appointment.
Well, OK, let me try and explain, because now we know it's orthopaedic. Let us assume it's your knee, all right? Let us assume it's your knee. Now, the GP looks at your X-rays, does the inspection and does the examination, all of that, and thinks, oh, yes... Well, I'm making this up, by the way, but, oh, yes, what you need is a replacement knee. All right? That's what the GP decides. So they book you in for a replacement knee. The specialist comes round and makes sure that the nurse has shaved it properly. They get you in the operating theatre. He slices open your knee and he says, this doesn't need replacing. This needs X, Y, or Z. What's the GP playing at? But you're the one on with a shaved leg and 18 stitches in your knee sewn up just so you can do something else. So when you have the interview, because that's all it is, the interview with the triage nurse, she will ask, or he will ask, specific questions which I presume will identify whether you are right for that particular kind of surgery that doctor does. It might only be, we need you to see the specialist to find out whether we do it keyhole or whether we have to open you up or whatever. But the GP won't know that by the dint of fact that that person is a GP. There's a wisdom to it. There is a wisdom.
I appreciate that. I made some inquiries. My daughter has had exactly the same thing gone with her in another trust, right? Not in the trust that I am in. And she gets this reference number and a password. She did it on the internet, and she could book her appointment with a certain specialist at a certain time, and it comes up on the internet, and she doesn't have to go through this triage appointment. I have made inquiries with my own GP practice where I went to, and the GPs in that practice are not happy with what's happening within my trust. That they are having to outsource it to this call centre in Milton Keynes that does this triage appointment. So I just think it's a waste of time and a waste of money.
Fair enough. And I hope it all works for you in the end anyway.
Yeah, it will.
Okay. Well, it will do. That's the way to think about it. You're halfway there if you believe in it.
All I'm doing is highlighting different trusts have got different ideas on how this choose and book works.
Absolutely, and why wouldn't they? We call it the National Health Service, but in effect it's not. It's a series of... It's like the United States. We call it one country, and you know what I mean? It's different elements of it. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Good on you. Cheers, mate. Neil, who sent me the the text, just to test his new phone. Gordon has some information for you. You need to get a life, mate. This is Gordon, who emails about 5 times a day. No offence intended. 0161 228 2255. Radio Manchester at bbc.co.uk. And indeed, you can text on 07786 206 951. Derek in Lee. Alan, forget the end of the world via financial meltdown or embargoed nuclear war. What's the latest on the topless blonde muggers? I think they're still plying their trade. Yes. I've no idea. I mean, I know there are hundreds of men walking up and down the promenade in Florida in the hope, but I know no more than that. If you weren't listening yesterday, you missed a treat. According to one newspaper, The Sun, obviously, but according to one newspaper, a young man was robbed by 4 topless blonde females who were described as that, wearing nothing but suspenders and stockings. No mention of a gusset anywhere. No winking or anything. Anyway, so they mugged this lad of 50 quid. I know. And as I say, there are now queues to get onto the promenade at Florida in the hope it'll happen to them. And police are also queuing up in the hope of arresting them. Gren in St Helens, hiya.
Hello.
Hello.
2 things, one on smoking and one on one of our favourite subjects, the Gurkhas.
Oh, yes.
Right, smoking. Just speaking to the lady. What I strongly object to now, I'm a non-smoker and against smoking in public, certainly, is that it's great, oh yeah, they'll just smoke outside. The trouble is, whenever I've gone out this summer to sit outside, I've been surrounded by bloody smokers.
Yeah, that's the pain.
It's taking their fumes in, so you cannot escape them, because what they're saying is, well, actually, don't sit outside, you've got to sit inside, and they're not giving non-smokers or people who have stopped smoking areas to sit and enjoy the bit of decent weather we have, because you've got covered in bloody cigarette butts and ends, and then great big, or in some places, massive ashtrays full of stubs. It's horrible anyway.
The only satisfaction I get from all of that is that we've got the buggers on the run.
Yeah.
And it won't be long now before we make it illegal. I mean, I said at the time, the best thing, and I think the government should have gone the next step, the best thing about making people smoke outside was all we needed to do then is put a couple of snipers on the back of a pickup truck and we could take the lot out in a fortnight.
No problem.
And I think, well, that's no great loss.
Yeah. Because I've said to you before, I mean, I can understand people who drink because unless they actually come and vomit over me, they don't have an effect on me. They can stagger about all the like. But smokers do. I can't stop breathing. You know, I mean, many of my friends would prefer me not to. But
as you well know, I've had that thought myself more than once, Gren.
Yeah.
We might get to it when we get the gherkins.
Eventually. Yeah, we will do when we get to the bloody gherkins, I'll tell you. Because you've got some weird ideas on that.
Never in a million years.
But, yeah, but you know, smoking directly affects me, and it is. There's no benefits from smoking. You know, you can argue there's some benefits from drinking, you know, red wine and all that, but convince me anybody and say, yeah, but it calms my nerves. Yeah, but if you didn't bloody start in the first place, you wouldn't need to calm your nerves about smoking.
But that's a bit unfair. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being unfair to smokers. No. They've brought it on themselves, but they usually start as children. And that's because of the snakes that own the businesses.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And I don't just include the multi-billionaire evil dogs that own the tobacco companies. I mean, the bloke in the corner shop.
Absolutely.
In our corner shop, he would split a pack of 5.
I've seen that being done.
Exactly.
And I can't argue with that. No. It's just that when I was given...
Slime balls.
I've smoked once, and it was when I was about 13 at school. Somebody gave me a cigarette. Oh, yeah, all right, then I'll have a go. Drew it and coughed. I thought, that's disgusting. Yeah, we've got to keep going.
I said that way.
Why should I?
No.
And that was it. Oh, no, it's filthy. It's horrible. How much did it cost? I paid that. I spent that on Airfix kits.
Exactly.
Why the hell would I want to do that instead of have an Airfix kit? Yeah.
I rode into the back of a dustbin lorry on my bicycle once, and, you know, I've never done it since.
Yeah.
And nobody said to me, you didn't enjoy that, did you? You've got to keep going. Have another 5. You'll be fine after that. You'll think it's lovely. Anyway, let's get on to the Gurkhas.
Gurkhas. You and your obsession with the mercenaries, right?
It's not an obsession.
Well, it is. You keep mentioning it in and out and just chucking it in like nobody will notice what people do. Name any mercenaries, if we call them the Gurkhas mercenaries, who are a formal British regiment.
But they haven't always been.
Well, no. Well, you haven't always been a fat red-headed radio presenter. I don't hold that against you.
It's only the last bit that's changed.
They were actually brought in. I mean, this is a little bit of history. When the Indian Mutiny took part, we won't go right back to it, but we beat them in Nepal and they became irregulars. This is where you may get it from. But they were one of the few regiments in the area that remained totally loyal to the British in the Indian Mutiny. And after that event, the British government recognised them as being totally loyal to the British Crown and formed them as regular infantry regiments.
They did after that.
Yeah. So they were regular infantry regiments. From that moment on, they could not in any way be mercenaries because the same applies. A South African...
It depends... No, I'm sorry.
In the RAF during the Second World War, by definition, was a mercenary. He didn't come from Britain, but he served for Britain there for pay. He is a mercenary.
Hang on a minute. Here is the distinction. And there is a distinction.
And I know what you're going to say.
Well, tell me.
Well, I think you're going to say that the South African was a member of the Commonwealth.
No.
And... All right, okay.
No, I'm not. The South African joined a unit, if you like. He did his basic training, he was allocated a unit, and that was what he did.
Yes.
The Gurkhas operated, most of the time, operated in their own unit, and you might call it as a bolt-on to the British Army. You didn't get transferred in. Officers did, serving soldiers didn't. You didn't get transferred in or out of the Gurkhas. If you were a Gurkha, you were a Gurkha. That was it. You didn't suddenly think, I think I'll get a transfer to the engineers. You might go on a course to the engineers so you could come back and be an engineering Gurkha. But you didn't, if you like, infiltrate the rest of the British Army. You were kept isolated.
Yeah,
you were a freestanding unit. Unlike the tank regiment, if you make a balls of driving a tank, they move you to the infantry.
You move to somewhere else.
They don't do that with the Gurkhas because they're a bolt-on. Now, I think, in the broadest of interpretations, you can refer to them a bit like the French Foreign Legion. Yes, they are part of the French army, and yet somehow they're not. And they are always described as mercenaries. Now, that's because the French Foreign Legion comes from wherever, and the Gurkhas only come from one place. But they don't join the army like the lads who come over from, well, you mentioned Australia. I served with an Australian. I served with a Caribbean lad. They'd come over, they joined the Royal Corps of Signals. Clearly, they didn't want to get shot at. So they joined the Royal Corps of Signals. They were part of the British Army. They had a British Army number. They could have got transferred into any other unit. That doesn't happen with the Gurkhas.
You might have me on a technicality there.
Technicalities are win and die in this game.
However, big point, the Gurkhas have never, ever been conscripted. Our lot have.
That is correct.
We could. Oh, I'm not fighting. Yeah, well, tough. You got your papers. They never have to ever do that with the Gurkhas.
Because they couldn't be, because they're not British.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that they will volunteer. Every single Gurkha has been a volunteer.
Absolutely.
Now they conscript the Indian Army. They never do with Gurkhas.
They don't need to.
And
they don't need to. The Gurkhas are perfectly happy to join because they get paid about 50 times what they could even think of earning, and they stay with their own people.
Yeah. Well, put it this way.
They don't have to accept the ways of the British.
When me and you are in a trench, right, facing whoever the hordes may be, I'd rather have a Gurkha by the side of me, even though I'm 6'6" and look ridiculous, than a French, a German, Italian, or our so-called American ally.
What you really
I'll have a
need,
Gurkha by me. Thank you very much.
What you really need is a signaller like me beside you, because we know what way they're coming from and know which way to run.
Yeah.
Have a good day, Ben.
Take care. Bye.
0161 228 2255. I fear the lamp is swinging. It's just gone 20 to 1 on BBC Radio Manchester. News headlines. Anna Dawson.
A 20-year-old man's admitted shooting a 16-year-old girl in the head in Manchester. Wayne Bryan from Gorton Villa Walk in Gorton will be sentenced later this month. The attack happened in June. A man who made obscene phone calls, some of them from payphones in North Manchester, faces a jail sentence today. Ian Parry from Bacup in Lancashire terrified at least 90 random victims. He was caught in Rochdale in August last year. And the Irish government's been accused of distorting competition by guaranteeing all savings in Ireland's 6 largest banks. The move's already led to a rush of British savers depositing their money there. Manchester's weather, sunshine and showers, highs of 12 Celsius.
BBC Radio Manchester 2020 traffic.
Let's take a quick look firstly to traffic cameras on the M56. Watch out for lane closures on the exit slip road. Roadworks around junction 10 at Stretton continue, closing off the inside lane of the 2-lane stretch. And if you're heading along the M6, again, traffic actually not doing too badly at the moment. Everything seems to be moving fairly well between junction 23, Haydock Island, up towards junction 26 at the Orrell interchange. And don't forget, if you're travelling through Rochdale, Oldham Road on the northbound on the A671, closed off between Wood Street and Milnrow Road, likely to cause 1 or 2 delays on surrounding routes. Don't forget, if you can update me further though, call in 0161 244 4951. I'm Cara Banks.
BBC Radio Manchester Sports with Will Perry.
Good afternoon. St Helens captain Kieran Cunningham has signed a new 12-month contract that'll keep him at the club for a 15th year. Cunningham was considering retirement, but the deal will keep the 31-year-old at Knowsley Road until the end of the 2009 season. Warrington Wolves have appointed former Great Britain amateur captain Nigel Hamshaw as their new head of strength and conditioning. He's spent the last 5 years working with Bradford Bulls. Wigan scrum half Thomas Lulai will be on the bench for New Zealand All Golds in their World Cup warm-up match against the Maoris on October the 12th. The Rugby League Hour is from 6 o'clock this evening with Jack Dearden. Joining Jack is Warrington's Adrian Morley, Wigan's Harrison Hansen and Super League referee Ben Thaler. In Rugby Union, Sale Sharks hooker Sebastian Bruno could be sidelined for up to 3 months after he was injured during the Premiership defeat to London Irish last night. The Frenchman picked up a bicep injury and will see a specialist later today, as will second row Sean Cox. He's got a knee problem. Manchester City manager Mark Hughes believes progress in the UEFA Cup is vital as he attempts to build a club that will challenge for honours in the future. The Blues boss is expected to name a full-strength team against the Cypriot side AC Omonia, with City leading 2-1 from the first leg.
It gives you different experiences, gives you different problems that you need to solve, and that helps you. Obviously coming back to domestic competitions and domestic cup situations as well. So all in all, the European part of what we do is key to the development of the team.
We'll have full commentary from Eastlands here on BBC Radio Manchester in the all-new Manchester Sports from 7:30 this evening. Elsewhere in the UEFA Cup, Tottenham are at Wisla Krakow in Poland. Everton take on Standard Liège in Belgium. Aston Villa host Litex Lovech of Bulgaria. And Portsmouth go to Portuguese side Vitória. Manchester United's Patrice Evra has had today's personal hearing for a charge of improper conduct delayed. The charge is relating to an incident at Chelsea back in April involving Chelsea groundsman Sam Bethel, although it was ruled that the FA didn't have jurisdiction over Bethel. Meanwhile, United midfielder Darren Fletcher has been called into the Scotland squad. That's for next week's World Cup qualifier with Norway. Joe Kinnear says he'll be staying in charge of Newcastle for at least as long as it takes Mike Ashley, the owner, to find a buyer. The former Wimbledon manager confirmed that there are at least 7 potential buyers in the running. The reported £30 million compensation Sheffield United is seeking over the Carlos Tevez affair won't be resolved in the near future. West Ham are taking their case to the Court of Arbitration for Sport in Switzerland today. It's understood that damages claims won't be heard by the FA's panel until February at the earliest. Oldham boss John Sheridan believes football is in increasing danger of becoming a non-contact sport if whistle-happy referees continue to spoil the game. The Latics face Stockport tomorrow, whose own manager Jim Gannon has been particularly outspoken about the standard of refereeing in League One.
When the referee's blowing his whistle all the time and stopping and starting the game all the time, it frustrates the players, the managers, the fans, and it just gets everyone's back up. And it's just something what I see all the time. They give the whistles blown for anything nowadays. It'll be a non-contact sport soon, and that's just something what can't happen in football.
Rochdale's Scott Wiseman will deputise for the injured Simon Ramsden at right back on Saturday. Dale boss Keith Hill says defence is the one place where ideally even Premier League clubs with big squads wouldn't rotate or make changes.
Majority of the teams, they want to settle back 4, and probably the 2 central midfield players and the goalkeeper, but wide players and strikers, they do tend to get rotated. Well, like every other team, that really you do want to keep a settle back 4, and that's the foundation that you go and win football matches on.
Meanwhile, Rochdale striker Callum Higginbottom has recovered from a bruised foot. He'll now be available for Saturday's game with Dagenham and Redbridge. And finally, for now, Dean Saunders, assistant to John Toshak with Wales, will now combine that role with managing non-league Wrexham. It's his first managerial job, and Saunders is the 4th manager at the racecourse in 22 months.
The next live action on the Northwest's biggest sports station.
AC Ormonia from Cyprus stand in the way of Manchester City in the second leg of the UEFA Cup this evening. We'll have full commentary in the all-new Manchester Sports from 7:30.
BBC Radio Manchester.
A very good day to you. How the hell are you? You all right? Good. Yeah, you might like this. Yeah. We're running out of fireworks, apparently. We may not have enough fireworks. Now, people think we might not have enough fireworks for bonfire night because they've all been used in welcoming people and saying goodbye to people in Beijing at the Commonwealth Games. Now, that's not the reason, but it has got something to do with it. Because of the Beijing Olympics, the place stinks to high heaven of everything. And so they're not letting big lorries move there. So they can't get the big lorry loads of fireworks that normally come over here. They can't get them here. So there might be no fireworks. This, of course, could be a pack of lies being perpetrated by the fireworks retailers of Britain who want to shove their prices up. We shall see. Chris in Marple. Hiya.
Hiya. Alan, I'm not smoking at the moment. A week and a half, which is quite good for me. Got a patch on my arm. But I'm getting very cross with people who are phoning up. And I've only heard part of your programme, so I might be wrong with saying that they don't like people smoking outside pubs and in the streets. It's not very pleasant, I agree, but when they can't smoke in a pub, when they can't smoke, well, I never did smoke in a restaurant, ever. When I was really smoking heavily. There's nowhere for us to go. Well, there's nowhere for them to go now. When I was smoking...
Well, who cares?
I do.
Well, I'm sure you do, because you've got a filthy habit, but why should I have to share it with you?
I haven't got a filthy habit at the moment.
Well, you have, actually. You've been 10 days without smoking. My money's on you being smoking by Saturday, but never mind.
Well, I hope not.
Well, so do I, but how many times have you given up so far?
I gave up for 4 years.
Yeah, then you're a fool.
I'm stupid.
Well, right, now, why do you want me to share your stupidity? Because, frankly, I don't want to.
No, I can agree with that.
Oh, good. So you agree that they're stupid and that you're sharing your filth with me?
No, I'm agreeing that smokers generally, I'm talking about myself now, as being stupid for smoking. I agree that it is horrible getting secondary smoke from other people.
Indeed. You see, you choose to smoke.
Yes.
I don't, and yet you have the audacity to make me smoke.
But where else?
I don't give a bugger where else. There's nowhere for rapists, but I'm not suggesting they should do it in the street. There's nowhere for murderers, but I'm not suggesting they do it in the street. Just because you've got a dirty, filthy habit and we've actually stopped you poisoning our food and our beer, why should we have you You didn't, but everybody else that does your filthy habit does. It is a disgusting practice, and frankly, I don't want to share it with you. In the street or any place else.
But where else would you put? Now, bear in mind...
I'd put you in bloody jail. That's where I'd put you. I'd round you all up, put you on the Isle of Man and push it out to Ireland. Say, I can have the pigging lot of them. They stink.
They do.
Good. So stop stinking up my street.
Britain and America, two great nations linked throughout history.
Yeah, but I will start getting blamed for it. What the hell are you talking about?
But what about the people of our two countries?
I love hamburgers. I eat hamburger every day.
Every hour by the looks of you. Who are they? What do they? How do you do?
My wife's about to have a baby.
Kid says no.
It's time for Little Britain, USA. Friday night from 9:30 on BBC One.
Alan, says Neil in Bebington, with this new phone, I'm going to have lots of new friends. Are you indeed? We shall see, won't we? 01612282255. 2285. Alan, if a business's worth is based upon the land and machinery it owns, how do you explain the fact that Google is worth millions? Well, I did go on to say in my list, I didn't confine it entirely to the buildings and the machinery it owns. I spoke also about the products it has to sell. And the product that Google has to sell is a service product. It's nonetheless a product for that. So, nice try, Brian, but no cigar, for reasons I may have gone into a few moments ago. 01612282255. I don't understand the mindset of a smoker who says, we have nowhere else to carry out our dirty habit, so please bear with us while we carry it out in the fresh air that you're entitled to breathe. I do not understand that logic. I have some sympathy with drug addicts, alcoholics and smokers. But drug addicts don't stab me in the arm with a needle as I walk by and poison me. Nor yet, as I think it was Gren said earlier, nor yet do beer drinkers. They sometimes whittle in my street, and I would have them beheaded for that. They sometimes vomit in my street, and frankly, the same. But smokers do it all the time. Just because this foolish nation of ours, since that baggy-trousered cretin Sir Walter Raleigh dragged the filthy stuff back here, since those golden days, we have had addicts insisting that we share their filth. I have no time for the argument. The argument is futile and ludicrous. But they are so poisoned by their cretinous habit that they cannot see their way through it. What a bunch of cretins. David says, and what's the latest on the two Swedish girls who've gone mad listening to ABBA? Trying to end it all on the M6. I don't know. We don't find out, you see, because once they're charged with a criminal offence, then it all goes quiet, inevitably. But I don't remember ABBA being mentioned in the reports of the story. Although I do wish I'd thought of it. Brian in Boothstown. Hiya, Brian.
Hi, Alan. You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad.
Good. Right. I was just thinking, this guy that phoned up a while ago about smoking in the open air.
Yes.
Yeah. And the comments that you made. Well, the only thing I would say is, for heaven's sake, have you never heard of Live and Let Live?
Yeah.
Well, why don't they do it? I mean,
well, you know, I haven't. Well, your question was, have I heard of Live and Let Live? Yes.
Yeah.
But there are places where it's inappropriate. Adolf Hitler. Oh, for God's sake, live and let live. What harm's he done?
We've gone to the extreme now.
Well, so when I say to you there are places where the term live and let live is inappropriate, you agree?
Okay. Yes, I agree on that point.
I think when somebody is actually attempting to poison me, I'll grant you by accident, but doing it nonetheless, I don't say live and let live. I say stop doing that.
I think you're going over the top there in terms
You may well think that,
attempting to poison you. I don't think that is the case.
I did say by accident. I didn't say that was their objective, but that is the inevitable possible consequence. Inevitable possible, that's a good phrase. That is the possible consequence of their habit. I don't say live and let live. Like the bloke next door, I don't have a bloke next door that does this, but if you've got a bloke next door that plays music, as somebody has just been evicted for so doing, according to a newspaper this morning, plays music at the very, very loudest volume right through the night until 8 o'clock in the morning, you don't say, oh, live and let live. You say that's unacceptable behaviour. It's not live and let live. Live and let live.
Are unacceptable behaviour, but
yes,
I don't
they
think
are. And smoking is one of them.
I don't think so.
Well,
not in the open.
Well,
certainly not.
Well, why not? It stinks.
Well, that's only your opinion. I mean, I've never.
Well, no, honestly, it's not only my opinion. I think there's at least two of us. There might even. Now, I'm prepared to stick my neck out. You do know me. I'm one who likes to stick to the facts. I'm not alone in this. I think there might be another. I'm prepared to risk mockery and ludicrousness pointed upon me because I think there might even be three of us.
Well, you're used to it.
I am, that's true. I'll grant you that. I've come to terms with that over the years. The only thing that keeps me going is the thought that I might get paid one day. But the reality is there could be three. I could go all out here and go for double figures. There might be 11 of us who think that it is a filthy habit, even in daylight.
That's not bad, a population of 50-odd million, is it?
Well, you said I was alone. You're now starting to say, well, it's 10 times that. There's 10 times that.
No, you said.
So you don't think there are another 10 of us? You think it's just me and maybe one other?
Possibly so,
It's a dirty, polluting habit.
It doesn't. It's not illegal, though, is it?
No, more's the pity. We're getting there. We are getting there. We're slowly but surely getting there. Slowly, catchy monkey. We'll have the buggers hanging from lampposts before the decade is out.
I'm glad I'm not a smoker. If you're on my track,
I could drive you to it. I've sent some to drink.
Oh, well, you've often done that in the past, actually. But there you go. But I don't blame you for driving me to drink. That's quite all right.
Yeah, you see, that was perfectly acceptable. As long as I don't drive you home to drink.
No, as long as you drive me home when I've been drinking, that's okay.
Yeah. So, come on, make the case then. Go on, make the case that it's perfectly acceptable to suck a burning stick and blow the shit onto me.
Well, like you say, it's not done deliberately. And if I went somewhere in the open and there was somebody smoking, then legally he has as much right to be there as I would. So I would move out of the way, basically. Yeah.
Fair enough.
He's doing nothing wrong.
Smokers are just people who like to have a fart in their mouth. A horrible, smelly gas. Smokers are just people who pay good money to carry a fart round in their mouth.
That's probably going to the extreme, but...
But nonetheless accurate for that.
I mean, if that's what they want to do, then it's not illegal. But what on the other side of the argument, I mean, there are people
trumping.
now...
I mean, perfectly, let's be serious here. If you're sat next to somebody in the theatre and you're stuck there for the next couple of hours, and every 30 seconds he lets off a really bad, quiet one, you don't think, well, live and let live. You think, why doesn't he take his bum somewhere else?
Yeah,
he's not poison. You're not going to die of it. It's not going to poison you. You're not going to suffer any consequence at all, just a little discomfort. That's all you're going to experience. And you don't think, well, I don't want him to sit next to me next time.
Probably not, no.
I was in an hardware shop this morning, one of them big sheds on the way into work.
Yeah.
I bought one of the things you put to hold a carpet under a door. And they didn't have the number for it, as usual. And this bloke come and she said, do you mind if I serve this chap while they're getting my number? And I said, of course not. And then he arrived. He stank of tobacco. He smelt vile. And I wished I hadn't let him through. But there you are. It's been a pleasure, Brian.
You moved out of the way, then?
I did move out the way. Because he was a dirty, filthy pollutant. Good on you, Brian. Have a good day. If you want to join us, you can. Feel free.
Greater Manchester's Food and Drink Festivals begin.
We ask why all the men make all the money as chefs,
but women still make the dinner at home.
Eamon and Diane tomorrow from 6.
0161 228 2255. Radio Manchester at bbc.co.uk. Text number 07786 206 951.
95.1 FM, DAB digital radio, and the World Wide Web. This is Manchester. BBC Radio Manchester.
At 1 o'clock, a man admits shooting a teenage girl in the head in Manchester, and a nuisance caller who terrorised dozens of people is due to be sentenced.
At Sale hooker Sebastian Bruno will see a specialist later today.
Well, this afternoon is going to be a combination of bright or sunny intervals and scattered heavy showers. Top temperatures 12 Celsius.
And traffic's returning to normal now on the M6 southbound between 18 Middlewich and 17 Sandbach.
Good afternoon, I'm Anna Dawson. A 20-year-old man's admitted shooting a 16-year-old girl in the head in Manchester. Police were called to a house in Gorton earlier this year. Steve Saul has more.
When officers got to the address on Ashover Avenue in June, they found 16-year-old Sophie Finucane with head injuries. She was treated in hospital and was in a coma before making a recovery. She was only discharged yesterday and is now starting a new life in Ireland. Today, Wayne Bryan of Gorton Villa Walk appeared at Manchester Crown Court and admitted 5 charges, including grievous bodily harm and possession of a firearm. He'll be sentenced later this month.
A man's being sentenced today for making around 100 nuisance phone calls, some of them from Manchester. BT have described the calls by Ian Parry from Bacup in Lancashire as some of the worst they've ever dealt with. This woman from Rosendale describes what she was made to say.
He wanted me to repeat things. He said there were 12 lines I had to repeat. They were extremely explicit sexually.
Well, 48-year-old Parry from Bacup was caught in Rochdale in August last year and is being sentenced today. He terrified more than 100 random victims in a year-long campaign.
He wanted to know about my underwear but by that point I was tied into a conversation with this man, and I just kept saying, no, I'm not like that, you know. I said I don't even swear. So I was very, very, very scared.
Banks and building societies have said they expect to cut back further on lending to individuals and businesses. The news comes in a survey by the Bank of England. Mortgage lending fell by more than 95% between August this year and the same month in 2007. A man's been charged after an ambulance crew were threatened and trapped in a house in Oldham. Police were called to an address in Coldhurst early on Tuesday morning. Following reports, 2 paramedics were being threatened at knife point. The 2 members of staff had locked themselves in a downstairs room and were being threatened after responding to an emergency call. Leonard Hilton from Vale Drive in Coldhurst has been charged with false imprisonment, threats to kill and affray. He's been remanded in custody to appear at Minchell Street Crown Court later this month. A man from Oldham's preparing to walk the length of Hadrian's Wall in a full Roman Legionnaires uniform. Anthony Shelmadine from Saddleworth sets off on his 84-mile trek tomorrow. The 30-year-old told us he aims to cover the distance in 5 days and will sleep and eat like a Roman, all in aid of cancer research.
One of my friends recently has been diagnosed with breast cancer, so I just thought that I'd do something. It's a horrible statistic. 1 in 3 people are going to be affected. I might be affected in the future, so it seemed like a good idea. Walking Hadrian's Wall, you can raise money, but I always think you've got to do something a bit gimmicky. This just seemed like a good idea.
And Alton Towers theme park in Staffordshire is to scrap its most famous ride, the Corkscrew. When it was built 28 years ago, it was the first double-loop roller coaster in Europe. Riders were thrown upside down twice inside 3 seconds, but now the park says it's time to replace it.
BBC Radio Manchester Sports with Will Perry.
Well, not good news for Sale Sharks. Their hooker Sebastian Bruno could be sidelined for up to 3 months, I should say, after he was injured during the Premiership defeat to London Irish last night. The Frenchman picked up a bicep injury and will see a specialist later today, as will second row Sean Cox. He's got a knee problem. St Helens captain Kieran Cunningham has signed a new 12-month contract that'll keep him at the club for a 15th year. Cunningham was considering retirement, but the deal will keep the 31-year-old at Knowsley Road until the end of the 2009 season. The Rugby League hour is from 6 o'clock this evening with Jack Dearden. Joining Jack is Warrington's Adrian Morley, Wigan's Harrison Hansen and Super League referee Ben Thaler. Manchester United's Patrice Evra has had today's personal hearing for a charge of improper conduct delayed. The charge is relating to an incident at Chelsea back in April involving Chelsea groundsman Sam Bethel. It was ruled that the FA didn't have jurisdiction over Bethel. Meanwhile, United midfielder Darren Fletcher has been called into the Scotland squad for next week's World Cup qualifier against Norway. Manchester City take on AC Omonia in the UEFA Cup at Eastlands this evening. City have a 2-1 lead from the first leg. We'll have full commentary in the all-new Manchester Sports from 7:30. And Rochdale's Scott Wiseman will deputise for the injured Simon Ramsden at right back for Saturday's game with Dagenham and Redbridge. Dale striker Callum Higginbottom will be in the squad. He's recovered from a bruised foot.
BBC Radio Manchester satellite weather with Heather Stotts.
Well, this afternoon we've got that combination of bright or sunny intervals and scattered heavy showers. There could be the risk of hearing a rumble of thunder, maybe even a little bit of hail in there. We've got a moderate to fresh west to northwesterly wind, and it's making it feel distinctly cool as we go through this afternoon, with top temperatures getting to just 12 Celsius.
Allan Beswick with you on the phones. 0161 228 2255.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Beswick, you and that numpty called Greg are the type of person that are totally self-centred. I'd rather be shipwrecked on a deserted island with a man-eating lion than you two nasties. Rick in Bolton. Well, Rick, I hope it happens for you, mate. That's all I can say. Anyone you know beat up their wife because they'd overindulged on tobacco. Bet you don't read this out. John in Stockport. No, I don't know anyone who's beaten up their wife because they've overindulged on tobacco. Come to think of it, John, I don't know anyone who's overindulged in anything and then beaten up their wife as a result. I know people who've beaten up their wives when drunk, but they've only beaten up their wives when drunk because they were beat up their wives anyway. They are vile, nasty, bullying thugs. The fact that they're ratted is irrelevant. They're thugs. Alan, you drive a car. You're a smoker, clogging up my lungs with dirty... pardon? If you drive a car, you are a smoker, clogging up my lungs with your dirty fumes. Should we ban cars from the road? Mark in Rochdale. Well, certainly Manchester City is doing its level best. The smoking charge should work. For God's sake, will you come off the fence about smoking? Joe in his taxi. Yeah, I'll try. I've always been a ditherer. It's me and Gordon Brown through and through. We're just utter ditherers. 0161 228 2255. If you've something to say, feel free. 0161 228 2255. Radio Manchester at bbc.co.uk. And, of course, you can text. It's 07786 206 951. Here's a story that will please some and annoy others. I'm not really sure which category you're in. Well, perhaps, like everything else, some's for... So, what? What are they? Oh, it's all right, I just saw an advert and wondered what they were. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to advertise them. Listen to this. This is in the Sun newspaper. Sun's Muslim readers have made the UK safer. Do you remember that chap that was on the other day suggesting that everyone with a brown face had sneaked in under the wire for the sole purpose of blowing us all to smithereens? Britain's security chief praised the Sun's Muslim readers yesterday for helping to make the nation safer from terrorism. Admiral Lord Alan West said extremists are now being given away by the Muslim community, many of whom read the Sun. There was one case to do with flying. We can't say too much about it for security and legal reasons, but people were concerned about what they had seen at a little flying club and contacted the police, which is something we've been encouraging them to do. All those people who say terrorists are just brown people. Well, no, some terrorists are brown people, like some of them used to be Irish people. But the reality is that, well, frankly, they are... Well, the simple thing to say is they're like everybody else. Muslim people, Jewish people, Catholic people, all kinds, even us lot. Even us can't believe in any of it because it's too much like hard work people. We are the same. So, good on the Sun. Didn't think I'd ever say that, but I have. Alan, I read that story too about the girl who got fined 14 pieces of chicken, 6 large flies and a large cola, the greedy binch. She deserves to be fined. Anonymous. Alan in Sale. Hiya, Alan.
Hello, Alan, you okay?
Not bad.
Good. I just want to take you up on your description of smokers just before the news.
Go on, then.
And you said, I don't mind people who take drugs because they don't stick a needle in my arm, or words to that effect.
I did.
Okay. So if you put them side by side, you've got a smoker and you've got a drug addict. The impact of the smoker on yourself is passing, fleet, and it just gets up your nose a bit and it stinks. However, the impact of the person taking drugs on yourself and society is they'll steal from you.
No, they won't.
They'll mug from you.
No, they won't.
They'll cheat you.
No, they won't.
They're heavily involved in crime.
No, they're not.
Some females and males are forced into prostitution to feed the habit.
Yeah.
So,
but hang on a minute.
Taking it side by side...
Hang on a minute.
Well, just let me finish, because I nearly have.
I've
taking
worked
it side by
alongside...
side, how can you quantify a smoker as being more abhorrent to you than somebody who takes drugs?
The smoker poisons me, whatever I do. I cannot avoid it. I have to put up with his smoke, even if it's only a whiff and I move 4 doors down. The drug addict does nothing to me. Because of the law surrounding drugs in our society, some people become drug addicts and end up stealing, rather like some people who use alcohol end up stealing, and believe it or not.
For some read most, in my experience.
You have experience of every drug addict in Britain. You're quite an intelligent man.
No, I didn't say I have experience of every one of them.
If you have no experience of them all,
most.
If you have no experience of them all, then you cannot have experience of most.
I have experience of some, and most of them who I have experience with have been involved in drugs.
And what was that experience?
And crime.
And what was that experience?
Growing up on a Wythenshawe estate, Alan.
Right. Well, had you grown up elsewhere and met a different kind of drug abuser, and there are many, many, many of them, I promise you, they're not involved in crime. Drugs do not lead to crime inevitably. Lack of money for drugs can do. But I could have stood in front of me, let's say George Michael. No, I don't think George Michael, he does other things that are illegal, don't we all? But George Michael hasn't robbed anybody, unless you mean selling those bloody awful tunes is robbery. George Michael hasn't robbed anybody. Why? Because he's addicted to some drugs and he can afford them.
The socialites who you're beginning to mention there, they're in the massive minority of drug takers, Alan.
Frankly, let me tell you, I work in an industry which doesn't have many thieves in it, but it has an awful lot of drug users in it. I'm in the entertainment industry. It's awash with them.
So because you're an entertainer and you take drugs, you're less likely to...
No, I'm not suggesting that, but the entertainment industry is reasonably well paid. An awful lot of people... I don't suppose Amy Winehouse, frankly, has robbed many people. Don't think she's robbed any?
She offends me every day when
we're not talking about offence. I said whether she robbed. She's not... Offending you isn't a crime, otherwise I'd be in prison. I'd never get out. I'd be looking at...
offending, Alan.
Well, yes, but it doesn't make it any less offensive. I'd never see any other sunlight other than that with stripes in, if that was the case. No, I accept, without any difficulty, that there are people who become a drug addict, slide down the slippery pole, as it were, and end up stealing to get the money to buy their drugs. I even have a solution to that. But
so do
never
I,
mind.
but it's not legal.
Well, my solution is we make it legal. That's the solution.
I agree with you.
So that's fine.
Well,
but what?
Party.
Right. Well, I've already got my party, but unfortunately, my party won't allow me to do that because it's the bugger all party. But no matter. But what we're dealing with here is inevitability. I could be sat opposite a drug addict and not know. I have a team of people that, well, it's not my team, but Radio Manchester has a team of, 40 or 50 people. I don't know what the numbers are, but I suspect that because of the statistics of life amongst them, there will be somebody who's doing most of the things that are done wrongly. But I don't know. But I can tell you who all the smokers are. I've only got to walk past them. I know all the smokers at Radio Manchester. Why? Because they sit there stinking.
Well,
and...
Let me give you a personal note on
Please
this.
do,
I'm a smoker, and I'm 45, and I've smoked since I was 17. Not a statistic I'm proud of.
Make the most of your 40s. You might not see your 50s, but do go on.
I know. I'm a husband, I'm a father to 2 young children. I don't ever, never smoke in my house. If I need to feed my habit, I go in the garden. And I've done so this week in the rain. I stand in my shed, Alan. I don't subject my wife or children or my home environment for visitors to smell of smoke. I wouldn't do it. If I'm driving someone somewhere, if I'm doing them a favour and I know they don't smoke, I will not smoke in my car in their presence, because that I would find to be offensive of me to do. You have to take consideration for those around you if you're a smoker. Yes, you do. But also,
I applaud
Alan,
all
if you're
of those
prepared
things.
to do that, then other people must also give and take as well. It's not,
Why?
It can't all be one way.
Whoa. The reason you don't smoke in your home is perfectly to be applauded. The reason you don't smoke in your car is to be applauded. And it is because you do not want to put your fumes into those people.
Absolutely.
Because they will be offended by it.
Absolutely.
Now, are you going to tell me that you do smoke in the street?
No, I don't, because I don't go out, Alan. And
OK, well, you must go out occasionally, otherwise...
no, I go to the shops, but...
Well, usually via the street, I would imagine. When you're in a public house with your friends or whatever, your family, a restaurant, do you go outside to smoke?
I don't go to public houses, Alan.
Well, there you are. Well, you'll get a life eventually, Alan, don't you worry. I just hope it lasts long enough.
So do I. And I'm keeping on giving up, and I'll slowly get there.
You will slowly get there.
Yeah.
You're trying to give it up. Good on you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Have a good day.
Take care, bye-bye.
0161 228 2255. I love the story about Steve Fawcett, I really do. They've found his ID, they've found his clothes, and now it seems, according to a news flash on the news wires... Yeah, remember yesterday? On the news wires. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah. Rescue crews have found the wreckage of a small plane that appears to be the aircraft piloted by millionaire adventurer Steve Fawcett. So either he was flying naked or he left a lot and pigged off with his millions. And his willy out, presumably. I've no idea. But there you are. All we need now is to look for the canoe.
Caffeinated conversation with Heather Stott and friends.
What was it like being part of this very professional machine that is TV?
Oh, man, it's not easy. Waiting in the cold around for hours on end.
I'm sorry, but I'm not buying that. You pretend for a living, that's what you do. Don't tell me that dressing up and being on the telly is hard work. Do you find that the four of you are honest? Yeah, I think so. Are you? Yeah. Why are you laughing, Graham?
When you said about being honest, she's an estate agent.
No, I don't lie. I'm just very economical with the truth. That's me.
Heather Stott.
Do you like that?
Tomorrow morning from 9 on BBC Radio Manchester.
A very good day to you. Ian in Old Trafford. Hi, Ian.
Hi there. Good afternoon, Alan.
Good afternoon.
It's a good show, as usual. You like to provoke a good discussion. But aren't you getting a bit puritanical?
Oh, I do hope so.
Only, I mean, we all impose a lot of different fumes on people, you know, from our cars, our heating systems, and some people are daft enough to burn things in the garden, which is extremely dangerous to people's health and so forth. So, you know, you have to get it in proportion, don't you?
I suppose one does have to get it into proportion, yes.
So?
Where do we go from there?
Well, I mean, what kind of car do you drive? What kind of car do I drive? Are we actually
no idea. I
being
drive,
very
I drive,
inconsiderate?
I can't speak for you. I drive a Fiesta.
Oh, well, you're being modest then, and you're not imposing.
No, I'm being poor. I promise you, if I had the brass, it'd be a dirty, great big look at me and you can all sod off Mercedes, but I haven't the brass, so it's a Fiesta.
Well, yes, so you are minimising your transport impact on other people.
No, the BBC's bloody awful pay is minimising my transport impact on other people, but do go on.
Yeah, I think we could get more upset about people who drive huge cars weighing several tons around small towns and cities. I mean, we're a very congested country, really, aren't we? And to be so inconsiderate as to drive something of a vast size and weight, that's very inconsiderate. And I don't think smokers out in the open are being quite as inconsiderate as that.
I don't know. You see, once you've accepted that people are going to use motorised transport, the difference in terms of the smell of it as it goes by, because remember we're talking about the stink of it all, the difference in terms of the smell of it as people go by is not that great. I appreciate that in some cases the larger car is probably polluting the atmosphere up there somewhere in the ionosphere, but frankly I don't live there and don't care much. And I don't go with all this.
It's much more than that. It's the toxins we're taking in all the time from things.
But you see, again, I've not yet seen the evidence that people have died as a result of that. And yet... Go on.
I think that there's a lot of evidence that people's health is damaged by traffic volumes and traffic density.
I'm not sure there is, you know. I'm not sure there is.
There's been quite a lot about it. This is one of the pressures on local government to reduce...
No, that's all about a global warming lie.
So it's a lie, is it?
Well, no, it's not a lie that the world is getting warmer any more than it's a lie that we were all going to freeze to death just a decade ago. You might remember all them scientists telling us we were entering a new ice age. And I, for one, am glad it's warmed up, really.
I think that that's a kind of... it's a very flippant view of what's happening. The reason that they thought that it might be getting cold is the same reason that it's heating, that we're unbalancing the proportions of gases in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I know, I've heard it all. I think the best way to examine the future is to check the past, because we're on this planet for, like, zilch. I'm making a programme at the moment about the salt under Cheshire. It's taken 250 million years to get it there. 250 million years. My life, your life, the life of humanity is utterly insignificant compared with that which you put in a salt cellar. Utterly insignificant. So this idea that mankind is changing everything, yes, we are, but frankly, the world will outlive us all, and in the end it won't matter. But that's a bigger subject than whether one sucks on a woodbine in Clegg Street.
Fair enough.
Good on you, Ian. Have a good day, mate. 0161 228 2255. 22 minutes past 1. Ooh! News headlines. Loretta Kane.
The boxing promoter Frank Warren's accepted £115,000 in libel damages and another £2 million to cover legal costs over allegations made about him in Ricky Hatton's autobiography. The book was withdrawn from sale last year. A 20-year-old man's admitted shooting a 16-year-old girl in the head in Manchester. Wayne Bryan of Gorton Villa Walk admitted 5 charges at Manchester Crown Court. His victim is making a recovery and has moved to live with her father in Ireland. And a man who made obscene phone calls, some of them from pay phones in North Manchester, faces a jail sentence today. Ian Parry from Backup in Lancashire is terrified. At least 90 random victims. He was caught in Rochdale in August last year. Manchester's weather, sunshine and showers, highs of 12 Celsius.
BBC Radio Manchester 2020 traffic.
Looking at cameras first on the M6, and traffic seems to be moving well between Junction 18 at Middlewich through towards Junction 20 at the Croft interchange. And that stretch between the southbound Junction 18, Middlewich and 17 Sandbach seems to have cleared up now. Not doing too badly on the M62 heading into Manchester from Junction 9 at Winwick on the eastbound carriageway. And M62 traffic coming off the Pennines from Junction 19 Haywood onto the M60 again moving well. Don't forget, if you can update me further though, call in on the travel line, the number that you need, 0161 244 4951. I'm Cara Banks.
BBC Radio Manchester with 2020 traffic through until midnight.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Hiya. Alan, you were a bit over the top with the poor woman when every time you drive down the street you poison everyone you pass. From Gwyn, a non-smoker. He also says, is it okay to smoke cannabis then? No. Get it in a chocolate like I did.
Lunchtimes belong to Beswick. Allan Beswick.
BBC Radio Manchester.
John in Moston. Hiya, John. Hello, John. Got a new motor? We have no John. Do you remember that? I used to like that ad. Hello, Tosh, got a new motor. Hello, Tosh, got a new motor. Yeah, it did get a bit like that eventually, yeah. Quite. But, well, I've heard enough of that. In response, Tony says, tirade? Tirade? I've never been so offended. In response to your tirade against smoking, I am a smoker. And I strongly object to the smells from cars, buses, lorries, women wearing perfume, men wearing aftershave, people with BO, the smell of curry, garlic and most dairy farms. I could go on, but I'm not after your position. Luckily, my so-called nasty habit masks the smell of the above for me, even if it may lower my lifespan. I'm 56 at the moment. You, as a lot of other intolerant people, have joined the popular bandwagon against smoking. Joined it? Tony, I like to think I was at the forefront of it. I'd have had Sir Walter Raleigh shot, baggy pants and all. I agreed with Elizabeth when she hanged him. Which is your choice? And I grant you that choice. My choice is to smoke, even knowing the facts. If it became illegal tomorrow to smoke outside the home, I would comply. But I'd still smoke, by choice. Fine. Smoke at home. I hope it does become illegal. And we'll get a sniper round in the morning, don't you worry. 0161 228 2255. John in Moston. Hiya, John.
Hi, Alan. Good afternoon. You're on form today, Alan.
Oh, dear.
Well, it was, Alan, there. Like, basically there. I'm a dead keen cyclist there, and I'm a non-smoker, Alan, there. But like I say, I mean, you refrain from there saying live and let live. But I mean, you know, when I'm behind somebody's car, Alan, there, the fumes, I actually wear a mask now when I'm cycling now, it's got that bad there. But when you actually say somebody's a dirty polluter, somebody like you, even in the Fiesta, Alan, there, you're polluting me, Alan.
I am.
Yeah,
I am.
And I mean,
what would you have me do?
Well, what would you have the smokers do, Alan? There?
Well, I would have the smokers stop, because there is no consequence. Few tobacco people will lose their jobs, but apart from that, there's no consequence. If we stop polluting traffic, and by that I mean traffic which pollutes, that is all traffic. That includes the trains and the planes and the barges and the boats and cars. If we stop all of that, then we return to the Dark Ages. For example, you might want to do away with your coal-fired power station because of the filth it puts out, in which case you won't have one and you'll be in the dark. And your bicycle, by the way, with its plastic tyres and its metal frame, has been a major cause of pollution and waste of water in the production of that bicycle. So if we do away with all the pollutants, you won't have a bicycle either. Oh, and the clothes you're wearing, you won't have those.
Alan, there, you know, I honestly appreciate your speech there, Alan, but I've heard you say once or twice, and you probably might remember when you said, no, I'm playing, sod the planet, I won't be here in future.
I absolutely do say that, yes.
Yeah, exactly, Alan.
Yes.
So, I mean, you are the pollutant in a way.
Of course, I don't doubt it for one moment. I don't doubt it for one moment that I, like everybody else on the planet, is a polluter. What I object to with smokers is they have just got there is no good from cigarettes. None. There is no universal good from cigarettes. The world has no benefit from cigarettes. The individuals that do it perceive, because they were stupid as a child, perceive a benefit, their pleasure. It's not a pleasure, it's a poison. It's a brain disease they suffer from.
I do agree with you, Alan.
Right. So there is no benefit. And without benefit, I don't see why I should have to endure the pain. Now, you can make the same argument about aircraft, but if we do away with aircraft and all those other fossil fuel transport things, then I'm afraid your bicycle's gone. As indeed have the shoes. You see, there is universal benefit from all those other things. There is no universal benefit from tobacco use. None.
Sorry to interrupt you, Alan.
You're not doing.
But what it was, Dave, it's just like you seem to really, really come down hard on, and I think, well, you know, there's two sides of the coin here, Alan.
Name the other one. I've offered you a number of opportunities. Tell me the other side of the coin. I've given you the other side of the coin of my Fiesta, of your bicycle, of the aircraft, of the boat, and all the rest of it. Now give me the other side of the coin for the smoker.
Well, I'm not really sticking up this morning.
I know you're not, but you asked it. You said, John, you said to me, I ought to think about the other side of the coin. Well, I can't think of the other side of the coin because I don't think it has one. Would you like to tell me what is on the other side of the coin? Because the only side I can see is pollution.
What I'm saying, Alan, there, if you're polluting and you're knocking somebody so bad, I mean, that young lady that come before there, I think she was trying to get, and you cut her off, and sometimes, Alan, there, I don't know if you mean to do it, but sometimes I think you do. And somebody, you know, they don't actually agree with your opinion there. You seem to be a little bit rough on them, like you did cut it off in mid-sentence.
What a cruel world I live in.
You do. Anyway, I'll tell you what about a cruel world, Alan, there. One last thing before I go. That story in the Sun about that young girl at Kentucky Fried, it made me laugh like mad. I would like to be going round for her tea tonight.
I'm very pleased that you have a soul as dark as mine own.
I know.
Have a good day,
nice
John. Ta-ra, mate. 0161 228 2255. So, he got how much? That boxing promoter? 118 grand, was it? For Ricky Hatton saying something rude about him. How much did the bloke that shot him give him? Was he the one that was shot? I mean, there was, wasn't there? It was a famous promoter. I'm sure it's the same one. I may have mixed up my promoters, but it's still a fair question. So Ricky Hatton says in his book, was it Frank Warren? I better get it right. I don't want somebody else suing me. But Ricky Hatton said of his former promoter that I'm not going to repeat it, I'm not that stupid, but he's not perfect. I think he said that, and he may well have given reasons for his answer. He's not perfect. And he's had to pay, someone has had to pay £118,000 to the boxing promoter. How much did the bloke who shot the boxing promoter about 20 years ago, how much did he pay him? Yeah, I don't know, he said, but you can have this little bit of lead. Here it is, and it's coming very, very quick.
Lunchtime belongs to Beswick. Bang! Allan Beswick.
That'll land.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Stephen in Warrington. Hi, Stephen.
How are you doing, Alan? All right, lad?
I'm very well, yeah.
Right, I've just got a bit of a query. Do you have a car?
I think we may have covered this.
Well, I don't know if you have or not. You haven't covered my query, I don't think.
Well, just 30 seconds ago I was talking about it, but go on. The answer's yes.
Well, I had to turn the radio off 30 seconds ago to receive your calls. So
I didn't know you did that. I don't know how it works. Go on, yes.
Right.
I've got a car.
You have a car?
Yeah.
Do you have central heating?
Yeah.
What sort of central heating is it?
The one that warms the house.
Yeah, it's gas.
I don't know. Probably.
Well, come on, you're an educated man. You know what sort of central heating you've got.
We have staff for that. Go on, I've got central heating. Where are you going?
Right. You driving your car, you heating your house is polluting my atmosphere.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So stop doing it.
Why?
It's a dirty, stinking habit.
I agree. Do you know what? I absolutely agree. I'll say to you what I said to John. You didn't hear it because you have to turn your radio off. There is a downside to us all stopping polluting. There's a massive downside. If I stop polluting, well, there's no point if I do, we'll all have to do it. So if I stop using my car and everybody else stops using their cars and their central heating and turning the lights on, or indeed off, but doing any of those things, there is a massive consequence for society. And so we as a society accept, and we're getting less tolerant of it, but we as a society accept the benefits of that pollution because
I don't accept the benefits of it. I think
what are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing at the moment, Stephen?
I'm totally nude.
What are you wearing? You're totally nude. I'm glad to hear it. What have you got in your hand? Please don't say what I would say. What have you got in the other hand? You have a telephone. Of what is it made? Is it knitted?
No.
It's not knitted.
No.
What's it made of? Let me guess. Is it plastic?
It's made of something which carries, or which has had a lot of embedded energy.
Right? But what we're saying is it's made of a man-made product.
Absolutely.
So if we all do away with...
It's a pollutant.
It is. And the reason
As is smoking.
Well, Stephen...
It's a pollutant.
Stephen, we as a society accept... Although, as I said, we're getting less tolerant.
Well, I don't think you can speak for society. You can only speak for yourself, sir.
Well, I'm afraid that is wrong. I can speak for society because...
You don't have my vote.
I don't want your vote. If you were voting for me, I'd change party.
I don't think you would at all.
Stephen, we know we can see with our own eyes that we as a society accept everything because it is around us. We accept, there are one or two members of the Green Party who don't, but we accept that we are a unified and industrial society.
Well, I don't think we're industrialised anymore, are we?
I said industrial, not industrialised.
Okay,
and yes, we are. I'm talking about society, not the United Kingdom. Society, for me, is much bigger than that. It is humanity. And humanity accepts that we are no longer a hand-to-mouth hunter-gatherer. We now use a collective process of life. And that means we make things. We make things to use in a variety of ways. And in so doing, we inevitably, we didn't know this at the time as a species, but we inevitably pollute the atmosphere. But we as a society who resist massively many attempts to reduce that pollution. We don't say, I will no longer use my central heating because it requires a pollutant to make it work. We say, I will use it less because I want the benefit and I will reduce my pollution, but I'm not prepared to forfeit the benefit entirely. We accept as a species that there is a collective benefit of some pollutants. My argument is that that is the balance of humanity. Now, given my explanation, I now say to anyone, including you, Stephen, to tell me what is the collective benefit of tobacco use. What is the collective benefit?
Well, I mean, we live, or hopefully we used to live in a democratic society. And that is, we're all allowed our choice of what we do in that society.
Well, no, we don't. Yeah. No, Stephen, we don't. The very use of the word democratic society means that we concede that rules will be imposed upon the minority by the will of the majority. That's what democracy means.
Well,
so we don't live in a free society. You are not free. That car that you challenge me for owning, you are not allowed to drive it without my consent because we as a society have deemed that we must have rules. So I come back. There are collective benefits from the pollutants. Can you please offer to me the collective benefit of smoking?
No, wait a minute. What you've done is you've changed the argument here, of course, like a politician. You make a good politician. What I'm saying to you is you are polluting my atmosphere with what you do.
Correct.
End of story. You're saying that smokers are polluting your atmosphere with what they do.
Correct.
Shall it be?
Well,
you stop polluting my atmosphere.
If that, I'm afraid, is the full extent of your argument, then I have to offer to you that you are somewhat truncated in your intellect.
Well, no, I hardly think so. No, I
know you hardly. I know you hardly think so.
And I actually lecture on environmental issues.
Then you must be aware, Stephen, you must be aware that there is no such thing as the absolute environmental argument related to modern society. And you must also accept that we as a society have decided that, and continue to decide, that a degree of pollution and harm is a worthwhile punishment, for want of a better term, a worthwhile consequence of the society, the industrial society, the modern society in which we wish to live. But we as a society get benefit from that pollution, a collective benefit. I'm asking you again, what is the
collective benefits? You didn't.
Well, you're the one that introduced it. Well, I did a few times, and you're the one that introduced democracy as a concept, and that too is a collective.
All I'm coming from is. Right,
they are, but Stephen, if you want that truncated argument, you can have it without any equivocation from me.
I haven't got time for a truncated argument. I've got a lecture at 2 o'clock.
Well, let me tell you, you win the point in that they are both pollutants. We started there, we finish there. Full stop. They're both pollutants. As is defecating. It's a pollutant. Don't do it, Stephen. It's very, very bad for you. 0161 228 2255. I do hope your lecture goes better. Chris called back to say she was very angry that you cut her off, but as someone came on and called her a young lady, she's very happy now. What can one say? I'm pleased that you're happy at somebody else's hands, as it were, Chris. I'd like to hear from you again. Wasn't Walter Raleigh beheaded, not hanged? And I thought that was where the 70s bicycle chopper got its name. I wouldn't want to ride a rally swinger. That's Lee in Liverpool. I thought Sir Walter Raleigh invented the bicycle, but he didn't, apparently. No. Paul says, Paul in West Horton, don't they contribute significantly more to the coffers in tax than they take out in medical care? It depends. It depends who you're listening to and whose figures you believe for that. I'm not altogether sure. But the collective benefit of taxation, I'm afraid, from smoking is a red herring, for want of a better term, possibly even a smoked herring. It's a kipper, because if we didn't have the taxation, the revenue that is gathered from smoking, I promise you the Chancellor of the Exchequer would get it from somewhere else. So the Exchequer benefit, the revenue benefit from smoking, frankly, is a misnomer. As I say, without smokers, we would get the money somewhere else, possibly even from me. So that would be a disaster, but such is life. Keep on smoking, he says. Just not near me, please. Thank you, Paul in West Horton. Well, just to point, the advert for Toshiba televisions with the line "Hello Tosh, got a Toshiba." The line "Hello, got a new motor" comes from an Alexi Sale song in the 80s, Dave in Salford. People have been murdered for knowing too much, you know. Just come 20 to 2 on BBC Radio Manchester. News headlines. Mairead O'Kane.
The boxing promoter Frank Warren's accepted £115,000 in libel damages and another £2 million to cover legal costs over allegations made about him in Ricky Hatton's autobiography. The book was withdrawn from sale last year. A man who made nuisance calls from phone boxes in North Manchester is due to be sentenced today. Ian Parry from Lancashire targeted almost 100 victims at random. And banks and building societies have said they expect to cut back further on lending to individuals and businesses. The news comes in a survey by the Bank of England. Mortgage lending fell by more than 95% between August this year and the same month in 2007. Manchester's weather, sunshine and showers, highs of 12 Celsius.
BBC Radio Manchester, 2020 traffic.
Let's take a quick look firstly to traffic cameras on the M60, and at the moment traffic's actually not doing too badly. Again, a nice steady flow over the Pennines on the M62 and on the M6 through Cheshire. But if you're using the trains, then please do be aware that severe delays are affecting Virgin train services between London Euston and Birmingham New Street. So make sure that you check before you travel. For the moment, though, tickets are being accepted on East Midlands train services, and we will keep you updated on that situation throughout the afternoon. Now, don't forget, if you can update me further, call in on 0161 244 4951. I'm Cara Banks.
BBC Radio Manchester Sports with Joanne Smith.
Good afternoon. Manchester United striker Wayne Rooney is expected to be fit to play in England's World Cup qualifiers against Kazakhstan and Belarus on October the 11th and 15th. Rooney suffered an ankle injury in the Champions League victory over Aalborg on Tuesday and was a doubt. He is still doubtful, though, for United's trip to Blackburn on Saturday. Meanwhile, Reds defender Patrice Evra's personal hearing for a charge of improper conduct has been delayed. The charge is relating to an incident at Chelsea back in April, which involved Chelsea groundsman Sam Bethel. While United midfielder Darren Fletcher, he's been called into the Scotland squad for next week's World Cup qualifier against Norway. Manchester City manager Mark Hughes believes progress in the UEFA Cup will be hugely beneficial to the club as he attempts to build a team that will challenge for honours in the future. The Blues boss is expected to name a full-strength team against the Cypriot side AC Ammonia. City have a 2-1 lead from the first leg.
If we can get into the group stages, then I think that's part one, phase one, if you want, of what we were trying to achieve. That's been completed, and then we can work from that point onwards. Once you're in the group stages, obviously you're guaranteed a number of games, which will take us into the new year, hopefully.
We'll have full match commentary from Eastlands here on BBC Radio Manchester in the all-new Manchester Sports from 7 this evening. Elsewhere in the UEFA Cup, Tottenham are at Wisła Krakow in Poland. Everton take on Standard Liège in Belgium. Aston Villa host Litex Levech of Bulgaria, and Portsmouth go to Portuguese side Vitória. Bury boss Alan Neil has been named League 2 Manager of the Month. The Shakers are top of the table after 8 games and managed 2 wins and 2 draws in September. Well, Neil says everyone at the club deserves credit, not just him.
It's good, but I think really it's more a reflection of the team.
and how well they've done. So obviously I'm the one that picks it up, but really the credit should go to the team.
Oldham manager John Sheridan believes football is in increasing danger of becoming a non-contact sport if whistle-happy referees continue to spoil the game. The Latics face Stockport side tomorrow night, whose own manager Jim Gannon has been particularly outspoken about the standard of refereeing in League One.
When the referee's blowing his whistle all the time and stopping and starting the game all the time, it frustrates the players, the managers, the fans, and it just gets everyone's back up, and it's just something what I see all the time. If the whistle's blown for anything nowadays, it'll be a non-contact sport soon, and that's just something what can't happen in football.
Rochdale's Scott Wiseman will debutise for the injured Simon Ramsden at right-back on Saturday. Dale boss Keith Hill says defence is the one place where ideally even Premier League clubs with big squads wouldn't rotate or make changes.
Majority of the teams, they want to settle back four, and probably the two central midfield players and the goalkeeper, but wide players and strikers, they do tend to get rotated. Well, like every other team, that really you do want to keep a settled back four, and that's the foundation that you go and win football matches on.
Meanwhile, Dale striker Callum Higginbotham has recovered from a bruised foot. He'll now be available for Saturday's game with Dagenham Redbridge. Sale Sharks hooker Sebastian Bruno could be sidelined for up to 3 months after he was injured during the Premiership defeat to London Irish last night. The Frenchman picked up a bicep injury and will see a specialist later today, as will second row Sean Cox. He's got a knee problem. St Helens captain Kieran Cunningham has signed a new 12-month contract that will keep him at the club for a 15th year. Cunningham was considering retirement, but the deal will keep the 31-year-old at Knowsley Road until the end of the 2009 season. Oldham Ruffians have re-signed Marcus St Hilaire on a 1-year deal for 2009, and the Rugby League Hour is on from 6 tonight with Jack Dearden. Joining Jack is Warrington's Adrian Morley, Wigan's Harrison Hansen, and Super League referee Ben Thaler.
The next live action on the Northwest's biggest sports station.
With full match commentary from Eastlands here on BBC Radio Manchester. The all-new Manchester Sports from 7 o'clock tonight. Manchester City against AC Ammonia.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Are you all right? Good. It's a grand life, isn't it? If you don't weaken, they say. But I weakened years ago. It's not held me back. Dear. 0161 228 2255. You can talk about anything you fancy. I'm not bothered. Anthony in Prestwich, hiya.
Hi, Alan. You did read out an email to me, but you
I read out an email to you?
No, that I sent you about smoking.
Yeah.
I am the smoker, the one that won't give up.
Okay.
You've been asking about the benefits, and I did email you a list of them that I've got off the internet.
Okay.
And there's some major benefits to actual smoking.
Yeah.
One of them is that most smokers are slimmer than non-smokers. And with overweight being quite a problem at the minute, I think it's, it can be directly related back to the cessation of smoking.
We may save you a lot of time here, Anthony. What I asked for were the universal benefits.
Yeah.
I appreciate there are some for the smoker, if only the satisfaction of enjoying something which he's convinced himself he enjoys. I was asking for the universal benefits.
Universal benefits?
Where we all benefit, where there's something for all of us from you doing it.
Well, the economy, obviously.
Well, no, that's a misnomer. I was just mentioning exactly that. That's a misnomer. The economy, we think, I don't know the figures, and I keep reading conflicting figures. We think smokers contribute more to the, should we say, the state than they take out for the state by dint of the amount of tax they pay on their habit.
I would think so.
However, if we did away with smoking, then the Chancellor would get his revenue elsewhere. So the benefits provided by that revenue would be provided by that revenue. It would just come from another source. So that's not a universal benefit, I'm afraid.
No, but, well...
So I'm asking for universal benefit.
You've discounted that one, OK.
Well, I've not discounted it. It's not universal.
The amount of pubs that are closing on a daily basis is directly related to the fact that no smoking was brought in.
And where's the problem to society with pubs closing?
Well, pubs are part of our society.
Well, they are part of our society, but
breakdown in society.
Well, it's not another
being disregarded.
No, it's not another breakdown in the society any more than a closing of post offices, or, come to think of it, radio stations is any more a breakdown in society. Society is an evolving thing. If we need fewer pubs because fewer people go in them, we will have fewer pubs. If we need fewer banks because people won't put their money in them, we will have fewer banks. But there was, but people will still.
They're also meeting places where people.
They are meeting places, but I promise you, Anthony, I promise you, I've met some people sometimes, and I've not been in anywhere near a pub.
No, I know, but
so
it is,
they're not essential. I'm sorry, I'm asking you for the universal benefit. That is not a universal benefit. It is a benefit, but frankly, not universal.
I'm not bothered about non-smokers.
I'm glad to hear it. You wouldn't be. I knew that by the very fact that you were a smoker. You can't be a smoker and be bothered about non-smokers.
No, of course. I'm putting the smokers' side because that's where
Not
I'm
very
coming
well
from.
so far, but try again.
But I'm not after a universal benefit. Smoking's a personal habit, and the personal benefits are plenty. There are lots which you seem to disregard. Because
Well, give me the personal benefits then. Well, I've not seen it yet, but I might get to it.
There's a list of benefits.
Okay,
which
give me some.
These are all from studied reports from hospitals, universities, and the like. They're not mine. They're out there
indeed.
to be seen.
Just give me a few of the. We've considered.
Smokers are thinner. Smokers have less hypertension.
Yeah.
I'll just drag up another one. I'm on the internet.
I'm intrigued that smokers have less hypertension.
It's a study. It's on the list, Alan.
Indeed.
If you have a look, yeah. It's got a protective effect against immunological abnormalities.
It has indeed.
In asbestos workers.
Yeah.
It helps them.
Yeah, it does. Because instead of dying of asbestosis, they die of another lung
we're
disease.
all going to die of something, aren't we?
We are indeed, but some of us are going to enjoy it more than the rest.
Well, as a non-smoker, I don't blame you not liking the smell of smoke. But the World Health Organization financed the largest study in the world on second-hand smoke.
It did.
But the study backfired and showed not only that there was no statistical risk of disease on passive smoking, but even a protective effect for those who are exposed to it.
I've never really argued that passive smoking.
There's a universal one, which I'm not really bothered about.
Where's the universal one?
Well, it helps protect people who are non-smokers.
Now, listen, you can't have that argument, Anthony. I'll tell you why you can't have that argument. If you say that the World Health Organization study says it has no effect, no detrimental effect, it can only be that you don't get it. You don't get anything.
No, it hasn't a protective effect.
No. You are telling
in front of you.
It's not in front of me.
Well, it's
you are
number
telling
14
me
on the benefits list.
Anthony, you're telling me that the World Health Organization says that smoking is bad for you, but it's a good idea to live with.
No, I'm saying that the World Health Organization financed a large study to try and prove the effects of passive smoking, and it backfired on them. And not surprisingly,
Anthony,
they hid the report.
Anthony, is the backfired on them the thing that you quoted just a few moments ago, where the survey, according to yours or somebody's interpretation of it, is this unpublished report, the interpretation of it is that passive smoking is actually good for you? Is that what you're telling me?
It does have some protective effect.
Is that what you're telling me? So passive smoking is good for me.
And
so the advice that would have had to be, would have had to be given out by the World Health Organization is don't be a smoker but live with one. A little bit of smoking is good for you. A lot of it is bad for you. No, hang on, Anthony. If you're telling me they said it wasn't harmful, I can nearly believe that. But what you actually told me was that it was actually beneficial.
It does, according to the report, and that's why they buried the report. Alan, it's out there.
Is this Anthony, is this... first of all, when you say it's out there, this buried report is out there, they're burying...
information.
The burying wasn't very good.
No, the
is this the
information
same,
is out there.
This sounds awfully like the everlasting light bulb, and indeed the motor car that runs on water,
Well,
both of which have been proven, and both of which were buried by the respective companies.
Many years ago, when this passive smoking came out, this report, I'd heard that it was from a newspaper man who was having a slack day on news at the office, and he thought, I'll write about
absolutely.
passive smoking and its effects.
It may well be true. I don't know. But you see, we're against an argument here. We're arguing about the wrong things. I asked you to deliver to me. Now, okay, you've apparently sent me a list of all the things.
Benefits.
For the individual that does it. I asked for a universal benefit, that's all. Now, the one you've offered me so far is a secret report by the World Health Organization that passive smoking is good for you. Can I frankly tell you that you are believing any crap that they'll offer to you because you need to?
Well, whatever.
Whatever, indeed.
The fact of the matter is, Alan, you're a non-smoker. I respect that, and I know it.
Well, you are a smoker, and I don't respect that. I think you are disgusting.
I understand there's no mutual respect here.
Good.
John Thompson, he knows what he means.
You know the guy. I say you buy one, you get one free. What do you say? I say you buy one, you get... I say, what do you say?
What's with the coat?
I don't know. What is that cape?
Admiral?
Yes, of course, he does. Elephant.com, he has an elephant's head on. Give me that cape and I'll get one free. I've got the right. Anyway, don't get me onto them adverts.
John Thompson, he knows what he means.
Al Murray, pub landlord. He used to do an act which was sound effects. Guns being assembled. I just wish you'd do that again. Not going, oh, right, so you'll get the dog out. I don't get it.
John Thompson's take on the world.
But they're going to just laugh.
Saturday from 11 on BBC Radio Manchester.
Dave in Bury says, what can you find to argue about with nicotine patches? I bet you can't. You're right, I can't. I like nicotine patches. I think we should have more. I think people should be entitled to poison themselves in any way they like that doesn't affect me. And nicotine patches will do it. My only complaint at nicotine patches is I don't think they charge them the same as they do smokers. But apart from that, I've not got a problem with it. Terry in Tilsley, the reason smokers have a better chance of not getting asbestosis, or whatever your caller says, it's because they spend most of their time coughing their guts up. All right. Ian, well done for getting the smokers on the back foot for a change. They've had it their own way for far too long. That's Ian in Stockport. I'm not sure that they've had it their own way. They usually end up on their back rather than on their back foot. And it's a bit concerning, says Brian, that your lecturer who rang in has such a blinkered and unobjective attitude to his subject. I sincerely hope that his prejudices and lack of open-mindedness are not conveyed to his students. Be honest, Brian, if a student has gone on a course about the environment, he hasn't gone on there saying, I want to learn how to make sure we have enough planes to go round. Liz, smokers have destroyed my life. I have asthma. When I was told this by my doctor, he said, stay away from smokers. If I smell even one cigarette, I find it hard to breathe. I cannot go anywhere. Smokers are disgusting, inconsiderate people. I would love to go into the shops, pubs, etc., but all the smokers stand in the doorways. It's totally wrong. Now they say, oh, I'm outside, it's all right to smoke. Where do I stand in my right to breathe clean air? Where can I go? Here we go, the typical argument. Smokers say, you have a car. That doesn't affect me. Smokers do. Since the new smoking law, my asthma's got worse because it's in the air. I saw the other day a nice caring mother, just as she had her last suck of her cigarette, she had a smoke in her mouth. Then she gave the child a kiss, which was in the buggy. I was horrified, that poor child. Smokers sink, inconsiderate people. I'm with you on this one, Alan. So says Liz. Thank you for that. You drive a Fiesta. I thought a smart car or one of those Ford car things would be more your style. Nearly, it probably would, but I wouldn't be able to get my 5 Alsatians in it. 0161228 2255. Barry says, shut the doors, sit in your car, turn the engine on. You'll be dead before long. Sit in your car, don't turn the engine on, but smoke all night. You'll still be there in the morning. That is absolutely true, Barry, but just in case any smokers think it might not be, why not try both? And Terry, tirade. Someone accused you of a tirade. Is that some sort of martial art? Could you please have a word with the BBC pronunciation department? Your reader said back up instead of bake up. Well, that's because it's the first time she'd seen it. And we all have that problem. We all have that problem. I said Blackley when I first come here. I didn't say bake up, because we've known it was bake up for years. But the trouble with proper nouns is there isn't a proper pronunciation. Many of them are improper. So, and we can't give them a list. We give them a list. We say, before any news really goes on air, we say, look, when they arrive, we say, look, it's Beswick, it's Skelmersdale, just in case, Skelmersdale, yeah? It's Blakely. You give them all the ones you can think of, you give them. Now, who could have expected to have to say bake up? Come on. And it looks like back up, and I'm with Mairead. But she won't get it wrong again, because you just told. There you are. Oh, by the way, that's an odd one. You wait till this tennis season's come back. No bugger can pronounce them. That's it from me. See you tomorrow. Ta-ra now.
Meet fabulous singer-songwriter Sam Isaac. Plus, it's a dirt.